She had the perfect life, or at least that's what the world told her she should have. A blockbuster television career, movie stardom, a fairy tale marriage to one of Hollywood's biggest leading men. Beauty, success, everything. And yet for decades, the narrative wasn't about her incredible achievements or her talent. It was about one thing: why she didn't have a baby. This is the story of Jennifer Aniston, a woman whose brilliance was overshadowed by society's obsession with what she didn't have. This is how Hollywood and the world wouldn't let her be happy. Jennifer Aniston seemed to have everything figured out. She broke through with Friends, becoming one of the most recognizable faces on television. She transitioned to film successfully, starring in romantic comedies that became cultural touchstones. She won Emmy Awards. She became a fashion icon. Her haircut became a global phenomenon. She was talented. She was beautiful. She was successful. And then Hollywood began asking the question that would haunt her for the next 2 decades. When are you having kids? This is where Jennifer's story becomes fascinating and tragic, because she wasn't just dealing with her own desires and choices. She was dealing with a culture obsessed with a specific narrative for women. The narrative that says success isn't complete without motherhood, that a woman's life isn't fulfilled unless she has children, that happiness is impossible without a family. Jennifer was living by that narrative. She was married to Brad Pitt. They were America's couple. The next logical step, according to society, was children. And when that didn't happen, the speculation began. Was she infertile? Did she not want kids? Was Brad leaving her for someone younger who would give him children? In 2005, Jennifer and Brad announced their separation. The divorce was shocking, but what was more shocking was how the world immediately blamed Jennifer. Because Brad left her for Angelina Jolie, and Angelina, very quickly, got pregnant. Suddenly, the narrative became clear. Jennifer was too career-focused. Jennifer didn't want children. Jennifer was selfish, and Brad, well, Brad just needed someone who would give him what Jennifer wouldn't. This is the cruelty of societal expectations. Jennifer was being judged not for what she did, but for what she didn't do. Her accomplishments were irrelevant. Her talent was secondary. The only thing that mattered was that she didn't have a baby. And now, apparently, that was why her marriage fell apart. What makes this particularly painful is that it was never Jennifer's choice alone. She was one half of the relationship, but the blame fell almost entirely on her. The world decided she was the problem. And she became defined not by her achievements, but by her lack of motherhood. For the next 15 years, every interview, every photo, every public appearance was filtered through one lens: Jennifer's relationship status and her lack of children. Magazine covers speculated about her fertility. Paparazzi photographed her stomach looking for signs of pregnancy. Tabloids printed fake stories about her adopting children or secretly having babies. Every moment of her life was analyzed through the prism of motherhood. Think about that. A woman at the height of her career, one of the most accomplished actresses in Hollywood, and the cultural conversation wasn't about her performances or her impact. It was about whether she had a baby. It was cruel, it was invasive, it was deeply unfair, and Jennifer handled it with grace. She continued working, she continued succeeding, she continued being the professional that she'd always been. But underneath, the constant scrutiny was taking a toll. The world had decided her happiness was incomplete, and nothing she did would change that narrative. What Jennifer's story reveals is the impossible standard that society places on women. You can be successful, but only if you're also a mother. You can have a career, but it should never be more important than finding a man and having children. You can be accomplished, but your greatest accomplishment should be creating a family. Jennifer didn't have a child because she didn't have a child. Maybe she didn't want one. Maybe she couldn't have one. Maybe she was waiting for the right circumstances. Whatever the reason, it was her business. It was her choice. And yet, the world made it everyone's business. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a judgment. What's particularly infuriating is that nobody asked Brad Pitt the same questions. Nobody wondered if he was unfulfilled without children before he met Angelina. Nobody suggested that his career was incomplete. The double standard was glaring, and Jennifer was on the receiving end of it. In recent years, something has shifted. Jennifer has been more open about her journey. She's spoken about fertility struggles. She's discussed her choices. She's refused to apologize for her life path. And more importantly, the cultural conversation has started to change. People have begun to recognize how unfair the scrutiny was, how damaging the narrative was, how Jennifer Aniston's worth was never dependent on her fertility status. Jennifer has found happiness on her own terms. She's continued her successful career. She's built meaningful relationships. She's become an advocate for women's autonomy and choice. And she's done it all while the world watched and judged. What's remarkable about Jennifer's journey is that she never let the narrative destroy her. She never became bitter. She never lashed out at society for its unfair standards. She simply continued being the accomplished, talented, intelligent woman she'd always been, and eventually the world caught up and recognized how unfair they'd been. Jennifer Aniston's story teaches us something crucial. Happiness isn't a checklist. It's not about hitting certain milestones or meeting society's expectations. It's about living authentically and making choices that feel right for you, not for anyone else. The world told Jennifer that her life was incomplete because she didn't have children. But Jennifer's life was full. It was full of accomplishments. It was full of meaningful work. It was full of relationships and experiences and growth. The only thing it wasn't full of was what other people thought she should have. This applies to all of us. The world has a narrative for what success looks like. It says you should graduate by a certain age, get married by another, have kids by another, achieve certain career milestones, and retire at a specific time. But life isn't a checklist. Happiness isn't about conforming to society's timeline. It's about knowing yourself and making choices that align with who you actually are, not who you're supposed to be. Jennifer Aniston's greatest victory wasn't winning an Emmy or starring in a blockbuster movie. It was refusing to let society's judgment define her. It was continuing to be successful and accomplished and present in the world despite constant pressure to apologize for her choices. It was showing that a woman's worth isn't determined by her marital status or her fertility. She broke free from the narrative. She refused to be reduced to a checklist of life milestones, and in doing so, she gave permission to millions of women to do the same. This is Jennifer Aniston's story, a woman of extraordinary talent who was held hostage by society's expectations for decades. She was judged not for who she was, but for what she didn't have. And yet, she persisted. She thrived. She built a life on her own terms. The real tragedy isn't that Jennifer didn't have children. It's that for so long, the world wouldn't let her be happy with the life she chose. The victory is that she found happiness anyway, and in doing so, she showed the world what real strength looks like.